welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
And this week is one of 2 tribute episodes that are going to be coming out because we were like, hey, let's do a tribute episode this week. And then as we were getting ready, we needed to do another tribute episode. But for the first one, we are doing Snap by The Jam to pay tribute to their drummer. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
Oh, we need to know that Paul Richard Buckler was born December 6, 1955 in Woking, Surrey, England. At least I think it's pronounced Woking. It looks like Woking. I'm not sure. Anyway, he attended Shearwater Secondary School along with fellow classmate Paul Weller, who was born May 25, 1958. Weller had started a band called The Jam, which consisted of Weller on bass, Steve Brooks on lead guitar, Dave Waller on rhythm guitar, and Neil Harris on drums. They would play at school and a local youth club. Harris and Waller left the band. Rick Buckler joined and played drums, while Bruce Foxton, born September 1st, 1955, was on rhythm guitar. They started out playing covers of early rock and roll songs by Chuck Berry and Little Richard. Then, in 1974, Paul Weller heard The Who, specifically their debut album, My Generation, and that was it for him. He became a mod. Mod was short for modernist and was a subculture that began in the late 1950s.
Are you a mod or a rocker? No, I'm a mucker.
It was made up of stylish London-based young men and women who listened to mostly modern jazz. Anyway, as a result, Paul began riding a Lambretta scooter, styling his hair like Steve Marriott from The Small Faces, and immersed himself in 60s soul and R&B music. He got the other band members to start wearing mohair suits. He and Bruce Foxton also started playing Rickenbacker guitars, which were fave guitars of The Who and The Beatles.
Yep.
Weller's father, John, was the band manager, and he started booking the band into local working men's clubs, which are British social clubs, kind of like the Cape Verdean Social Club in East Providence or any Portuguese social club around here.
Right.
Anyway, John Weller would also manage the Jam for the rest of their career.
Wow.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh,
and
everything.
then Paul's solo career until John's death in 2009. The band began to get a reputation. They'd play a mix of covers and originals written by Weller and Brooks. Brooks left the band in 1976. Weller and Foxton decided to switch instruments. Paul was now on lead guitar and Bruce was on bass. The Jam was signed to Polydor Records in February of 1977. They released their first single, In the City, in April of 1977. It reached number 40 on the UK singles chart and would be the first of 18 consecutive top 40 singles for the Jam. They would hit number 1 4 times. Their debut album of the same name came out in May. The songs were fast and loud like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, but were more prevalent with their 60s rock influences. There were also 2 covers on the album. The Batman theme, which was also covered by The Who.
Why didn't you send me that?
I didn't think of it.
Oh.
And Larry Williams' Slow Down, which was also covered by The Beatles. Anyway, also for the entire month of May, the Jam would tour with The Clash in and around London.
Awesome.
Their next single, a non-LP track, All Around the World, went to number 13. Their second album, This Is the Modern World, came out in November of 1977. The reviews weren't that great, with 2 of the songs that Bruce Foxton wrote being singled out for criticism.
Uh-oh.
This led to Paul Weller becoming the chief songwriter.
Yeah.
However, a non-album single written by Bruce was released. News of the World made it to number 27. When the band went into the studio to record their third album, most of the songs were written by Bruce. The producers thought they were poor and held off recording the band until Paul Weller would be inspired to write some more.
Oh, ouch.
All Mod Cons, which is short for All Mod Conveniences, which apparently is a real estate term in England, came out in November 1978 and was critically acclaimed. Setting Suns came out in November of 1979, and it cracked the U.S. Billboard 200 Albums chart, making it all the way to
199?
137.
Okay.
Sound Effects came out in 1980 and hit number 72 on Billboard's U.S. album chart.
Hey,
so, they're doing better.
They're climbing.
Yep. Their final album, The Gift, came out in March of 1982. It hit number 1 in the UK and number 62 in the US.
Hey, they still kept climbing.
Yep. The sound was more northern soul, which Paul Weller loved. Now there were horns, funky bass lines, even saxophone. Bruce and Rick were uneasy about the move away from the Jam's trademark sound. This caused a distancing between them and Weller. Paul had already decided it was probably time to move on, as he felt he was writing songs to order. In October of 1982, he made his intentions known to disband the Jam. And Rick and Bruce wanted to keep the band together. In 2012, Rick Buckler said in an interview, "It was like we were going to be driving over a cliff at the end of the year, and you keep thinking, well, maybe he'll change his mind.
Maybe he'll take a detour and we won't go over the cliff."
Paul didn't, and his manager, Dad, also told them in no uncertain terms, yeah, it's pretty much over. Now, here's the thing. Bruce did not speak to Paul for 20 years. And apart from brief greetings at chance meetings, Paul and Rick never spoke to each other again.
Wow. It didn't even sound like they had like a public feud or anything.
They just broke up, and they stayed broke up.
It's over, and it's over.
Now, post-Jam, Paul Weller formed the Style Council in 1983, and they lasted until 1989, with Paul going solo after that. And Bruce Foxton put out some solo albums, didn't do much. He then went on to play bass for Stiff Little Fingers, who had reunited in 1990, and he stayed with them until 2006. He was also in the mod band Casbah Club. Other members included Simon Townshend, Pete's brother, and Mark, I'm going to mispronounce this, so I'm sorry, Mark Rizicki and Bruce Watson from Big Country. As for Rick Buckler, he formed a band, Time UK. They released 3 singles. He also did some production work. In the mid-90s, he left the music business to become an ad hoc carpenter. In November 2005, he got back into music, forming a band called The Gift, named after the Jam's final album.
Aww.
They played Jam songs exclusively. Now, Bruce Foxton joined in 2007, playing bass, of course.
What about Paul?
Well, here's the thing. They changed their name to From the Jam.
Okay.
Now, Buckler quit in 2009 because he felt without Paul Weller,
there's no point.
From the Jam would just be like a tribute band. You know, they'd be playing
at Stadium in
at the
Woonsocket,
Stadium or the Greenwich Odeum. Yeah, one of those kind of acts. But From the Jam are still around. Rick did go on to become a management consultant for new acts. His biography, That's Entertainment, My Life in the Jam, came out in 2015.
Aww.
Rick Buckler died on February 17th, 2025, after a brief illness. He was 69 years old.
Did the other 2 release a statement that we know of?
Yeah, they both did.
Okay.
The old, he was my brother in the Jam kind of thing, and I can't believe he's gone, whatever is X or Facebook or wherever you're supposed to release that sort of thing.
Well, I guess after not talking for 20 years, that's pretty polite.
Yeah. The Jam have been eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since 2002, and that just is not going to happen.
No, but I wish it would.
Too British.
I can dream, can't I?
You can.
Yeah.
Now, as for me, depending on how you feel about the Jam, you can either thank or blame Uncle Mike for introducing me to their music, because he is a hardcore band.
Spoiler alert. Thanks, Uncle Mike.
Oh, okay. He's a hardcore fan. And when I was telling him about this, he's like, I still can't believe they broke up. And, Style Council, I bought the first album, and And he said Paul Weller solo stuff, he just could not be bothered. He just still, I guess, cannot forgive him for breaking up the band.
You gotta give it to him. He's consistent. Like, for him, AC/DC was dead after Bon Scott died. He is loyal to the original members all the time.
He is.
Which you gotta admire for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the thing was, like, when he was living at home, like growing up, we would watch his VSH tape of Snap, which was a collection of all of Jam's videos.
Wow.
And I eventually picked up Snap on vinyl, which I still have still a 2-record set.
Oh,
And it was their first compilation to be released right after the band broke up.
oh.
It came out in October of 1983. Now, a CD version called Compact Snap came out in 1985, but it was only one disc. Now, here's the thing, though. 8 songs were left off, but the 21 songs that were left on were all their singles that charted. I know I said they released 18 singles, but 3 of them were double A sides. So you got hits on.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep, so someone knew what they were doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in 2006, Universal Music re-released Snap as a 2-disc set, so you got all 29 songs fully restored and remastered, and it's available as an import. And I think this was done in conjunction with Paul Weller receiving a Brit Award for Outstanding Contribution to Music that same year, because that sticker is on the jewel case of the complete Snap. Now, the thing is, to trumpet the win, and I guess to move some copies. Anyway, Paul Weller doesn't usually show up to award shows, but he did for this one.
Because of the title alone, I can imagine, you know?
Now, the thing was, Paul himself got the award for Outstanding Contribution to Music. It wasn't the jam. It was just
Paul.
him solo.
Right.
No Bruce, no Rick.
Yeah, just him.
Just him. Yep. Anyway.
Those poor guys.
we I'm not going to review all 29 songs. We are just doing 15.
Yep, Dad whittled it down.
To the best of my ability.
And the first one he picked, In the City. The first thought when I heard this opening song is how much I love the singers' voices because they complement each other really well. The lead singer, Paul, has a lower voice, and the backup singer, Bruce, sings in his higher register, and yet they both have the same quality of sound, which is very interesting. I wonder if this song is supposed to be about when you find somebody who you might be attracted to or maybe you even fall in love with, but they don't share your ideas and values about the world, or maybe they're just not as quite informed as you. And when he tries to explain his ideas, she doesn't really get it. And it comes to the point where she's turned off by this, and he understands why, but he says at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you think of me, you still need to listen to these ideas. And in the song, you get the sense that there's a lot going on right now in the city, and there's so many things that he wants to tell her, but maybe it's just better if she sees for herself. She might not even form an opinion after all these things, but at least he tried. Doesn't sound like this relationship will work out. Maybe he can find someone who's more receptive. Very relatable political song in today's day and age, but what stood out for me again were the voices. And I also love their look with the suits. I think that was a smart choice. They're not the first band to do it, but for some reason, I really love the aesthetic on those 3 band members specifically.
It works.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting take on this song. I kind of have a different take, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay, anyway, like I said before, this was their debut single. It was released at the end of April 77, and it hit the UK Top 40 at number 40.
Okay.
It was a start.
It's there.
Now, when Polydor re-released the single in 2002 for the Jam's 25th anniversary, it made the UK Top 40 again, this time at number 36.
Hey,
so it was
they're
doing better.
moving. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the US, it did not chart at all. But you know what was number 1 on Billboard at the time?
Something you hated.
That In the City was released?
What?
And I am not making this up. I pulled out my Billboard Top 40 book.
Should I be scared?
Hotel California.
Oh.
That's how lame U.S. radio was at the time.
Oh.
So there was absolutely no way in hell that In the City was even going to get a whiff of even the 100 singles chart.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably not even the 200 singles chart if there is one.
Here's one thing I will say on Hotel California. I know that you don't like Eagles at all, just with their music.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also when I hear it, it doesn't bother me as much. And we'll probably talk about this when we cover another Elton album one day. But a lot of the songs you don't like, for me, I don't have that same problem because my generation didn't grow up with them being played on the radio over and over again.
Because there was no escape.
Exactly.
And I think also, like, you just had the radio and that was it.
But now we have so many options with the internet where we can
Oh
pick
my
and
God,
choose.
you've got everything. I mean, we just were like exposed to it over, and it was like, kill me, kill me, kill me.
If you had Spotify back then, you would have been fine. Anyway.
And to make it worse,
What?
the Eagles also had a song called "In the City," which thankfully
No.
did not chart.
Oh, thank God.
Anyway, the impression I got was that Paul seems to be talking to an older person. It's like a generational thing.
Oh, I can see that.
He says there's 1,000 things he wants to tell this person, but whenever he approaches them, they make him look like a fool. He wants to talk about young ideas, but the older person turns them into fears.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul tells him, but you better listen because the kids know where it's at. And also, there are 1,000 men in uniforms who have a right to kill a man. So it's like what do you call it? Like a military.
A march?
No, like a oh, I can't think of the right thing, but it's almost like not like a military state, but the industrial complex, the military
Almost
complex.
industrial complex, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got like I think the 1,000 men in uniforms. It's like the cops.
Yeah.
I mean, in England at that time, you know, you've got the punks, you've got the riots going on,
Yep.
and the police just had like free reign.
We had a poli-sci professor, Rick, who's from England originally, and I think he was about my age when the punk scene was going on in London in the 70s. So he saw some shit.
I bet he did. Now, for me, like the lyrics kind of combine early Who with the kids and the Clash. It's the men in uniform, and Paul's voice. It's very British with, I think, a little Johnny Rotten thrown in on a few lines, especially especially with "You better listen now. You've said you better go," whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, musically, it's reminiscent sort of early Who, especially with Paul's Pete Townsend influenced guitar. And this led to the jam being called Revivalists. And this led to Paul cutting out that review that said Revivalists. And he stuck it on cardboard and he wrote, "How can I be a fucking revivalist when I'm only 18?
Good point.
He then tied that around his neck and he wore it to the local pub.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not sure what the reaction was, but
That's a take.
that's a take.
Next track, The Modern World. To quote Sally Brown, welcome to the 20th century. I mentioned this in another podcast episode we did, and I forget which one, but I'm going to bring this up again. The main point of this song reminds me of the undergrad thesis that I wrote about how anger is a strong enough emotion to start a social movement, but not necessarily good for sustaining it. Why? Because you get burnt out. And I think he'll get burnt out quickly too if all he knows to survive on is hate and pain. It'll get him far, but eventually he's gonna crash. This song also seems very English to me because I think this rage could be coming from the class divide that they have in the UK also, which is highly ingrained in their culture, and it's something we don't have over in the US. It's more race in the US than culture over there. I mean, Britain has racism too, but they're like the racism ninjas. Where to quote a Nigerian comedian I like, it's like, they're so polite you don't even know you're being discriminated against. So anyway, Paul is angry at the world, but he's also angry at the class system that's in place, which is represented by the teachers who told him you weren't ever going to be anything, which is what Muhammad Ali's grade school teacher told him. And then when he won the gold medal in the Olympics, he brought it back to her office and showed her off. Anyway, I think a lot of people have had teachers like that, but again, living in England, it takes on a slightly different meaning because you think of the teachers at Eton and Oxford and all those other posh schools where the good English boys are supposed to go if they want to make something of themselves in the world, you know, like a barrister or finance. He doesn't care how he's perceived for trying to survive in this modern world because he knows one day he's going to end up on top sneering at all those teachers who told him that he couldn't do it. And he doesn't care what anyone else says. And that's how he learned about how the world truly is, just by surviving. You feel proud of him for telling all the naysayers that he's going to be able to survive and I know everything and you know nothing. I'm sure that came from a place of a young, hurt kid. A song that makes you feel proud of the guy singing it.
Mm-hmm. This is the Modern World. Now, at this point, after In the City, the Jam then released 3 singles in a row that all had the word world in the titles.
Huh.
All Around the World, The Modern World, and News of the World. So
They got a theme here.
yeah, so I thought, gee, out of the 3 of those, I really like The Modern World the best out of them.
Okay.
And to me, this is like Paul's middle finger, or maybe being British, 2 fingers to
Yeah, two fingers. Two backwards fingers making a peace sign.
Those of you out there who get the video portion, you can see me making that sign. Anyway, the two fingers to authority, teachers, critics, just anyone who's pissed him off. And he's so pissed off that his eyes are turning yellow. And he's learned more than they'll ever know. He's learned about the modern world. Now he can look down on the teachers who said he'd be nothing. And the critics, he doesn't give a damn about their reviews. Now here's the thing. The album version says he doesn't give two...
Fucks.
Well, can we say that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Just we can't say it more than once, I think is the rule.
Okay, I think you've used up your amount then.
Maybe.
But the thing is, if you want to get on the radio, you kind of have to make nice.
Oh, yeah, everyone has to do a radio edit.
Yeah. So anyway, but Paul is so pissed. He even makes the way he sings the word nothing sound like a swear. And the music is just as pissed off as he is. Overall, it ain't cute, but it's just such a great song. It's like when you're 18 and you know it all and you want to tell the world what it can do, this is your soundtrack.
Next track, David Watts. This is the song I associate with the Jam the most at first because it's the first song of theirs I ever heard, and I didn't know it was a cover of the Kinks for a long time. I just remember loving it as a kid because of how catchy the opening is with the ba 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 ba, or as the Kinks do in their version, fa 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 fa. Not sure why they changed the consonant, but hey, you can do what you want. And I especially love it when they sing in harmony because it sounds beautiful. The local school scrub is jealous of the it boy, David Watts. Dave is the head boy at the school and the captain of the team. He is so gay and fancy-free. He passes all his exams, and all the girls want to get in his pants, but they can't because he is a pure and noble breed, which either means he's a snit or he's very hard to get because his parents have already set him up with some girl to continue the family bloodline or whatever. And you get the sense that this scrub wishes he didn't care so much about David Watts, but he wishes that he had all the perks that David gets by being the golden boy, particularly the girls and the champagne. I also think my other favorite part of the song, other than just how catchy the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bas are, is when they get towards the end, when the song gets quiet and he keeps saying whoosh, 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 over and over in the background, and wish I could be like, well, somebody's doing that whoosh effect in the background, and it progressively gets crescendos and it gets louder, and you realize how much this desire to be like David is consuming him. Awesome song. As for the Kinks version, I think it's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek because the singer sings it with the air of being aware that David Watts isn't actually all he's cracked up to be, and he's just another posh kid with a stick up his ass. He still wants the perks, but he knows at the end of the day this guy is no better than he is. Whereas I think with the Jam, there's a bit more frustration of wishing that they could elevate themselves out of their current situation in life. Because even if Dave is a bit of a prick, his money would solve a lot of their problems if they had it. Not all of them, but a lot. I think the only thing I prefer in the Kinks version is the bass line towards the end of the song, because it's really strong and it has a groove. But, as is often the case, the version you hear first is the one you love, and I'll always love the Jams more than the Kinks.
This is from All Mod Cons. So with all the Who comparisons the Jam was saddled with, you would think they would have covered one of their songs and released it as an A-side on a single.
Nope.
You would think that, right?
No,
they went with the Kinks.
Maybe they were Kinks fans too. You can be both in this universe.
I think it just surprised everyone.
Yeah.
So David Watts is the head boy at the school, the captain of the team who leads the school to victory. Meanwhile, Ray's off on the side. He's a dull and simple lad who can't tell water from champagne. Now, Ray had said, on one hand, the song was just nothing about pure envy. There's always that one person where you're like, oh man, I wish I could be like them. I mean, there's another song called Richard Cory that started as a poem. I think like in the 1800s. I actually have the poem version, and it's about someone who writes about, oh, I wish I could be Richard Cory. He's successful. He owns the business, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, he goes home and puts a bullet in his head. So,
Yikes.
he commits suicide.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, now on the other hand, Ray said there was a real David Watts, but that was not his real name, though.
Oh.
Because Ray said the real person was gay, and he had a crush on Ray's brother Dave.
Wow.
And Ray, being the sensitive lad that he was at the time,
bullshit,
told Dave that he should marry this guy because he had a connection with the Rutland Brewery. So Ray figured he could get all the free ale he wanted. And as Ray said, when I read this, shows you how shallow I was at the time.
Reminds me of the Always Sunny quote. Huh, two dudes getting married? That doesn't seem very gay.
And anyway, he said it's also why he wrote the lines about David being gay and so carefree.
He meant gay literally and not in the happy way. Okay.
And how all the girls try to go out with him but don't succeed.
Oh, because he just wants to be with guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'm kind of with you. I have to admit, being, the music guy that I am, you think I would have heard the Kinks version first, but no, I heard the Jams version first.
When did you find out it was the Kinks?
Probably from Mike.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't until years later that I heard the Kinks version, and I have no complaints with the Kinks version. It's
fine.
the original.
Yeah.
But to me, the Jams is punchier.
Yeah.
And that's probably just due to studio advancements.
Or switching fa 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 to the more percussive ba 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 ba.
That could be.
It's a small shift, but it creates a different vibe.
And yeah, and I wonder if the fa 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 has to do with David Watts being gay. Like it's more, like you said, it's ba 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 would be punchier. Fa 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 has a lighter
aloof.
touch.
Yeah,
that could be something where they went with that. Now, here's the thing: Bruce Foxton sings lead on David Watts because it wasn't the right key for Paul Weller, but Paul does sing on backup.
Yeah,
though.
he
does join in.
Yep. Next, Down in the Tube Station at Midnight. Not being English and also being 25 years old, I can't speak to what the quality of the tube station in London was when this song was written. It sounds like 70s New York. I can tell you, though, that by the time I visited London about 2 years ago, compared to the Boston Tea, the London Underground was very organized and very clean, to the point when they redesigned the trains on the Red Line, they stole a lot from England, including instead of Mind the Gap, it was something else the Gap. I can't remember.
Heed the Gap, Watch the Gap, whatever
I
it is.
think it was
it's
Watch
lame.
the Gap, yeah, as opposed to Mind the Gap. Anyway, however, I also never rode the London Underground at midnight, okay? Which is, I'm sure, is when a lot of stuff goes down that he lists in this song. A man is in a tube station at midnight, and he observes the crime and all the trash that's left about, and he's cornered by some men who are yelling at him, and he ends up being mugged. There's a lot of great lyrics here when he says that the people who mug him smell like too many right-wing meetings, and when he goes to look for change and he pulls out Her Majesty smiling and beguiling, or, my favorite, how there's a sign that says Jesus saves posted by some atheist nutter. I think my favorite part of the song musically is how the drums are able to make it sound like there's a London Underground train chugging, but I don't know how they achieved that effect in the studio because I thought I heard some bells and whistles, so maybe they just played some previous recordings they had of the Underground down in the files, but it worked really well. I liked this song.
Okay, this is also from Oil Mod Cons. So Paul's down at the tube station at midnight waiting for a train to take him home. He's fumbling for change. Then he hears gruff voices.
Uh-oh.
Hating and waiting, asking if he's got any money. He says he has a little and some curry, and he's on his way home to his wife. And then the beating starts.
And then troublish.
Yep. And it seems like they've either beaten him to death or it's really close to it.
He has to go to a hospital by the end of this song, definitely.
Yeah. And the last thing he thinks about is his wife because they took his keys.
Oh,
fudge.
That took on a darker meaning.
And she'll think it's him.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
Oh, dear.
Now, if you listen closely to the parts where it's just Rick Buckler playing 30-second notes on the hi-hat and Bruce's bass, you can hear a heartbeat.
Oh.
And as for me, yes, when your mom and I went to London, I did think of this song.
Well, you didn't go at midnight, right?
Well, no, the closest was 10 p.m. after we got out of the mousetrap.
Yep.
But the thing was, it was so crowded and so bustling and just so lively. I thought, okay, I think I can breathe easier.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, maybe even at midnight, it wouldn't be what it was back in 77 because...
Maybe, yeah, 70s London.
I mean, 70s London, say hello to 70s New York.
Thatcher's London, to put it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
almost Thatcher's London. Yeah, but
But
yeah.
the thing is, it seems like the tube station in London has vastly improved. New York, no, you still get people pushing people on the tracks and pulling all kinds of crap.
Oh,
even
yeah.
though you've got like, the Disneyfied version of Times Square.
Well, Disney can only clean up so much.
I guess they can. So yeah, I breathed a little easier, and it was funny when I told Mike about, yeah, we took the tube a lot. Did you think of that song? Yes, I did. Now, by the way,
Yes.
the Jam do cover The Who, but on the B side of Down in the Tube Station.
Interesting.
So they did do the song "So Sad About Us" because Keith Moon had died a month before the single's release.
Oh,
So
that was a tribute.
yeah, they did it as a tribute.
Nice. Next track. Wait, how's the drumming on the cover?
I have not heard it.
Okay. Next track. When You're Young. I'm going to bring up my age again because as someone who is 25 years of age hearing this song, it just felt like taking a long drag on a cigarette and nodding my head in bitter understanding. I think my favorite lyrics are, life is a drink and you get drunk when you're young, and when you're young the world is your oyster but your future is a clam. I'm paraphrasing that last one, but you get the drift. Because I remember doing this exact same thing when I started college. When I graduated, I thought, I won't have to answer to anybody and I'll be a free spirit. But then reality hit, and I needed to pay the bills. And I think you can still cling to leftist ideals while still paying your bills. But the advantage that the system has is it's been around for a long time, and even if it's slowly declining, the reform's not going to be in my lifetime. What I appreciate about the song is how they're not trying to dissuade you from enjoying your youth while it lasts. Because in the music video, they're performing the song at a gazebo where a bunch of children are watching and clapping, and at one point the band joins them just watching and clapping along and smiling with them. So it's more like, enjoy your youth, but this is something to keep in the back of your mind as you eventually grow older and mature into an adult.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was a non-album single, and yeah, you were 25. Paul wrote this when he was 21. So
he was aware.
he was, I guess he was an old soul because
Yeah.
he nailed it.
Or for some people, not all bands, but maybe for him the music business made him grow up fast.
Yeah, it could be.
Some people it does, some people it really doesn't.
Yep, and I'm just going to quote a few lines. Life is timeless and days are long when you're young. And as you said, life is a drink and you get drunk when you're young. And Mike always brings up that line.
It's a good quote.
It
It's
is.
a really
It is.
good quotation, sorry.
And the thing is, you've got time on your side. No one's going to make you stand in line. But then, quote, it's so hard to understand while the world's your oyster, but your future's a clam, unquote. Ouch. and they let you think you're a king, but you're really a pawn. Ouch again. So you youngsters out there, don't waste time.
Well, also double ouch in England because they have an actual king. Next track.
I'm not
sorry.
done yet.
Sorry.
I still have some things to say.
Good.
This is pretty straight ahead, rock and roll, punk, whatever.
Yeah.
Until the end, it almost turns into a little bit of reggae when Paul repeats the lines, "You're fearless and brave. You can't be stopped when you're young. You used to fall in love with everyone. Any guitar and any bass drum."
Didn't The Clash do a little bit of reggae references, like with Rude Boy?
Oh, they got into it, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's just...
And then it cranks up again, and I guess he wanted to stress those lines for some reason. I'm not sure why, but anyone out there have any theories, let us know.
Next track, Smithers Jones.
Smithers.
This song follows most of the day of the life of Smithers Jones, the hardworking Englishman who's called into his boss's office wondering if it's about the promotion, only to realize that he's been laid off. The lyrics that punch you in the gut is when Smithers Jones goes home and puts up his feet and watches some TV and has some tea to feel groovy, which in English slang, that tea could be something else. But as they say, you've worked your ass off and the only one who's smiling is the suntan boss, which, oof, that hit like a ton of bricks. It shows while the Jam was against the system, they did have sympathy for the workers who were cogs in the machine and had to deal with the fallout. A very sobering song that does this job very well. It's like, oh yeah, there's only one person who's truly happy when they come home from work at the end of the day, and that's because of their paycheck.
All right, this is the B-side to When You're Young, and this is the single version. Now, when it came time to record it for their next album, Setting Suns, drummer Rick Buckler suggested an all-string arrangement, which I did send to you, yes?
I didn't listen to it. I'm sorry, I forgot. It got
Well,
lost in my emails.
it's kind of like their Eleanor Rigby move, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And Mike is partial to that version, but I only heard it first like last week.
Oh, okay.
When doing this, and I like the rocking one. I mean, I can kind of see why he likes the string version because it kind of, I guess it kind of relates to what's being sung about. I guess, but I don't know. I just like the rocking one. Plus, at the end of the version that we listened to, for some reason, it finishes with exactly the last three notes of the Kinks song Victoria.
Oh.
I have no idea why, but every time I kept hearing it, it was driving me crazy, and I knew I had heard it somewhere else, and it took me the longest time to figure out, oh yeah, it's Victoria.
Maybe it's like a musical Easter egg.
I guess, could
Yeah.
be. Now, Bruce Foxton wrote this one, and it's looked upon as his greatest song with the Jam.
It's very good.
It is.
Yeah.
So Smithers Jones is on his way to work. He gets a copy of the Times from the corner shop, and the shop owners ask him, hey, how's the wife? How's the home? You know, did you get that car that you want yet? And then the train arrives, and they're all packed like tin sardines. And he gets to the office a little before 9, and secretary says, hey, the boss wants to see you, and oh, it's going to be that promotion, and yeah, there's no longer a position for you.
He's canned.
And like you said, you know, just those great lines, now you've worked your arse off, but the only one smiling is the sun-tanned boss. Ugh. And the thing is, in real life, Bruce Foxton's dad decided to retire after being laid off.
Yeah.
Because I guess he kind of realized, yeah, I'm old enough, I think I can do it.
That's kind of what Grandpa did.
And, yep. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Smithers Jones also kind of reminded me of the IT crowd with
yes.
with the nutty boss.
Denham. Renham, Douglas Denham.
Was he the son of the
son?
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know why, but it was like he always came out on top, no matter what kind of crap went down.
Even though he was just the stupidest man on the face of the earth.
He was the sun-tanned boss.
Yeah, he was. Next track, Thick as Thieves. This song is about a friendship that naturally grows apart. It happens to everyone, and you only feel bad that it did once you look back and wonder what made it grow apart. And the sad thing is, there's no one real cause, it's just life. Still, what can sometimes make it impossible to believe is remembering how close you once were, especially if you made all these plans together that never came to fruition. They blame themselves, and at one point there's even a duet between the two friends as they try to figure out what went wrong. But it wasn't them. It never was. Poignant song.
This is from Setting Suns. And yeah, Paul sings about that friend he had when he was younger. They did everything together. They were thick as thieves. They stole everything from drugs to girls' hearts. They'd stick together forever, but it only turns out for just for a while. And like, yeah, things come along. It's like, usually, yeah, you go through high school and then, oh, I'm going to this college. Oh, I'm going to that college. Yeah, but we're still going to end. No, your own lives are starting. And, it's like you're growing up, you're growing older. And they're no longer as thick as thieves, and they're no longer as thick as they used to be. And I think, like, thick is like, the other definition of thick is, like, they're not as ignorant about life. They're not thick in the head. They're kind of realizing...
As they say in England, don't be thick.
Yeah. And it's straight ahead catchy rock. It's, kind of sad, because I'm thinking, do I know anyone from my life like that? And I think, yeah, there's probably some people, I suppose.
Vincent?
Well, he died.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, that was kind of like, yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of like an older thing, but like from kids, I'd say probably the Swanson brothers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they moved away, then they actually moved back. So went through high school with Dave, and then just went off and did our own lives. And he's in Florida. I don't know if he's still living in Florida now or if he's back up here, but I know he's out there somewhere.
Yeah, for me it's probably M, but that one was my fault. That wasn't life. Next track, Going Underground.
You could fix it.
I can.
You could.
I know.
Okay.
I'm scared, but maybe.
Don't be scared.
All right, Going Underground. This guy's got a pretty happy life, but everyone keeps telling him to shape up because his happiness is unconventional. What also doesn't help is what the TV is constantly blaring in his face. So he says, "Screw this, I've had enough, I'm going underground," which I take to mean as him fully immersing himself in the punk scene, like at an underground club. And then the song just ends because he's gone, he's found what works best for him, and he won't be answering to anyone else, to which I say, good for you.
This is another non-album single, and this was written about Margaret Thatcher, voter apathy, and the military-industrial complex, which he calls the Boys Brigade.
I can hear all that.
And then it's, what you see is what you get. You've made your bed, you better lie in it. You choose your leaders and place your trust as their lies wash you down and their promises rust. Yeah, it still goes on.
Yep.
Oh, and look, I wrote, could apply to any political leader and still relevant. And I kind of looked at it as like, Paul's just, nah, I'm good. I'm just dropping out of society, getting off the grid, going underground, where I don't need any of this crapola. I'll see you later. Now, musically, critic, and I'm going to mispronounce your name, and I'm really sorry, Eugen Ling pointed out something that I never noticed before from the years of listening to this song. It sounds a lot like the Beatles song "And Your Bird Can Sing" from Revolver.
Okay.
I never noticed that.
I can hear it.
Right down to Bruce Foxton's bass fade out at the end. But they never got sued, though.
We'll get to the Beatles in a couple more tracks.
Oh, we definitely will.
But I have a question for you first.
Yeah.
So, for full disclosure, Dad's politics are a little bit more conservative than mine. So, I gotta ask, when you listen to punk music, how do you feel listening to it knowing that their political leanings and yours aren't the same? Like for me, the most famous example is Paul Ryan's favorite band is Rage Against the Machine, which whenever people mention that, they have that meme of Garfield looking at a no Garfield sign and going, I wonder who that's for. Yeah, do you find some irony in that? Or it's like, do you still rage against the system as much as they do, just maybe in a different way?
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Because it's like you're fans of the yeah.
Well, I kind of think, and maybe I'm naive about this, but I kind of think people aren't, well, there are some people who are like one extreme or the other extreme politically, but I think most of us are like caught in the middle.
You
like,
are more
we
middle,
like some from, okay, I like some of your stuff and I like some of your stuff, but I mean, I was young once, I can relate, and yeah, that music does take me back to a time, and to this day, I still haven't, no problems with it. I am going to be in the old folks' home listening to The Clash.
Good for you.
Because they're going to be saying, oh, do you want to listen to that Eagles? No.
And I'll be like, give my dad his Clash CDs, he'll feel better and he'll be fine.
You give me that first album and leave me alone.
But maybe it's also because about how punk, some of it has to do with class struggles too. I think maybe people feel that there's more a universal message in that. Like as Mark said, it's all about class struggle,
Yeah, and I think you're also you're just trying to get through life, and you're trying to like make sure that you can take care of your family and just everything, and just try to get through life without a lot of BS, I suppose.
Yeah.
And like whoever's in charge at the time running things, you hope that they're not going to screw up your life too much. Yeah.
Saying that in 2025. All right, next track. That's Entertainment, demo version.
That's Entertainment. No, not that
one.
No.
But I did listen to both versions of this song. Now, I remembered this song as soon as he sang the title. That's Entertainment. Because I was obsessed with how he sang those words as a kid. Man is watching life go by like Pete Townshend's Street in the City, but grittier and more about everyday stuff. He's just watching all the chaos go by, sometimes with a bitter grin and sometimes tired. As for the final version I found, I found it for the music video, and I don't think it's mixed well because the lead singer's voice sounds too far away and there's too much echo. I think the message of this song is delivered better when it's more up in your face as opposed to this one. So if you have to listen to one version, listen to the demo. And full disclosure, I have listened to this song pretty much almost every single day since doing the podcast. I was listening to the car ride home for electrolysis. I was listening it getting off the plane to Georgia, getting off the plane from Boston. I was listening to it just this morning. I'm obsessed with this song, and I think it owns my soul now.
Wow.
Yep.
That's very, very interesting. Okay,
Yep.
it's a demo version, so it was previously unleashed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a depressing slice of life.
But boy, is it catchy as hell.
And you get like a baby wailing and a stray dog howling, paint spattered walls and the cry of a tomcat, lights going out and a kick in the balls, opening the windows and breathing in petrol. That's the line that always gets me. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm being killed. Yeah, there goes some of my life. Bye.
Watching TV and thinking about your holidays.
Yep, and a hot summer's day and sticky back tarmac, feeding ducks in the park and wishing you were far away. And all through it, Paul just sings, "That's entertainment." And he said he wrote this song in 10 minutes. It just came to him.
Yeah, I think it would be cool for me. Like, I do a writing open mic once a week, and I think a fun creative challenge would be for me to write my own version of That's Entertainment. You keep the chorus, but you write about the more banal moments of your own life too. To be like, that's entertainment for him. This is what's entertainment for me with the life I'm going through right now.
Okay.
I think it would be fun.
Now, as for the demo version being on here, I actually had to pull out the vinyl version because they have an explanation on the back of Snap, and on a CD it's there, but the booklet's in teeny weeny Istrano vision. So I thought, let me grab the vinyl.
What's the reason?
It was decided to use the demo version of That's Entertainment on this LP, although technically not as good as the later version recorded for sound effects. The demo has a certain quality that was never captured again.
I agree with that. Yeah, it just has the pure quality. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, they play the album version on 88.1 WELH, which is the Wheeler School radio station.
Yep.
And every time I hear it, I think, oh, it's just too polished. It's just
is.
too finished.
Yeah, whoever mixed that, why?
Yeah, I mean, the demo just it's perfect.
Yes.
And by the way, I know you said you're playing this song like
almost every single day, yeah.
I'm going to have to give you a story, David Swanson's story.
Hi, David.
Back in high school, he said how there was one morning he got up and he's just feeling great and he's getting ready for school and, you know, things going along, and he put on That's Entertainment, and he said he felt so depressed. He just wound up crawling back in the bed, pulling the shades down, just could not face the day.
Oh, my God.
Yep, it got him that depressed.
Wow.
So
what's that say about me?
So just just be careful.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, no, it's just like, I think I get from this song what people get from punk tracks, where it's like, you're nodding along and you're getting more furious and you're like, yeah.
Okay, because when you tell me, I'm listening to hear that, I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope she's okay.
No. My mental health is regulated now, and I'm doing a lot better.
Okay.
So I can listen to that song without getting triggered.
Okay, good to know.
Next song, Start. I like the music from this song a lot. Mostly because it's lifted off the Beatles' Taxman. And you're like, listen to Taxman by the Beatles. I'm like, why does he want me to listen to this? I didn't even have to listen to it. I heard that opening bass and I knew immediately what song it was lifted from. So if there's a history of a lawsuit with the song, I wouldn't be surprised. But it focuses on a hookup situation. I think it's lovers to enemies or potentially enemies to lovers. Which, random question, what would you rather read? Lovers to enemies or enemies to lovers?
What's that?
Which of those stories would you rather read? Lovers becoming enemies or enemies becoming lovers?
Well, they're both interesting either way.
Yeah.
Enemies becoming lovers, because all lovers eventually become enemies.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, dating. I mean, that sounds very pessimistic.
Anyway, and if he says 2 minutes is all we have, well, what you give is what you get, and he's fine with that. And it sounds like his partner is mutually consenting to this too. I think that should have been the title of the song instead of Start. Like,
mutually consenting?
No, what you give is what you get. But I get what they mean, because it's like, if we're going to do this, we need to start now. But pretty ballsy to plagiarize the Beatles. So, Dad, is there any lawsuits we need to know about?
Oh, well, hang on. This is from Sound Effects. And as he sings, I'll have some of the lines. It's not important for you to know my name. If we communicate for 2 minutes, only it will be enough. And later he says again, if we only get 2 minutes, it'll be a start.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, maybe it's a one-night stand.
Speed hookup instead of speed dating.
Meeting someone in a bar, and, it's not important for you to know my name, but he also sings it's not important for me to know yours. And if we communicate, fine. But listening to these lyrics now, it seems more relevant in the online world.
Yeah.
Because everyone's anonymous and you're just putting out whatever, behind, some sort of user handle or whatever.
Yeah, a comedian made a good point. He's like, you think that you have choice when you go on those dating apps. No, it's algorithms. Based on those first couple of swipes, whether you swipe left to say you're not interested or right to say that you are interested, it recognizes patterns with you and then it curates it from there. So it gives you the illusion of choice.
Which would be worse, algorithms or algorithms? He's dancing.
Get out.
Okay. Anyway, so musically, yeah, Taxman. And there was an interview with Bruce Fox, and he said, well, I think we changed it enough where Paul McCartney wouldn't sue me for the bass line.
It's giving Vanilla Ice and Queen.
Now the thing is, it's amazing that George Harrison never sued them. He so easily could have.
He could have won too. Got back all that My Sweet Lord money.
This definitely would have held up in court. I mean, it's just, but he never did. So
maybe he just wasn't listening to them.
Oh, I'm sure someone must have said, "Hey George, have you heard this song?"
Go away. I'm too busy meditating.
Yeah, probably. Now here's the other thing. This was a shock when I first saw this. Back in 2007, Start was used in a Cadillac ad.
Interesting, okay.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, I'm just watching TV, and I hear, dun, 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 dun.
Did you think it was Taxman?
No, I knew it was Start. But
okay.
Like, you gotta be kidding. I mean, I'm sitting there, mouth open, eyes bulging. I'm like, oh my God. I thought, on one hand, they sold out, but on the other hand, okay, they're making some, Paul Weller's probably making some income.
My own punk band gone commercial. I can't stand it.
Oh, yeah, at least that hasn't happened with the Clash yet.
Not that we know of.
Unless, Travelocity or Truvago uses Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Or London Calling for British
Airways.
travel.
Yeah.
Well, when Joe Strummer...
We shouldn't be saying these things.
No, let's not manifest it into being knock on wood. That's me knocking.
And it is wood.
Joe Strummer, please don't go suddenly off your rocker.
Well, he's still dead, so...
Oh, he is dead? Who's still alive?
The other three.
Okay, the other three, don't suddenly go off your rockers and start selling the rights.
Yeah, Joe died in 2002.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. All right, next track, Absolute Beginners. No, not the Bowie one, the other one. This is my favorite musical arrangement of all the songs in the album. I was literally blown away from the horns. I had to replay it because that blast just took my breath away. And the horn section is my entire favorite part. I heard a rumor that I guess Paul Weller didn't like the musical arrangement, which he wrote the song, so if he didn't like it, that's unfortunate. But I absolutely love it to the point where I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics at all. I would just listen to this song for that horn section over and over. So, Dad, if you have something to say about the lyrics and the story of the song, say it now. Because I got nothing.
Okay. This is a non-album single, and the title comes from the Colin McInnes novel. And supposedly, it's what the lyrics are about. I went on Wikipedia and just read the summary really quick. Basically, the novel takes place in the summer of 1958 and details one particular day in each month. And the main character is a teenage photographer, and he has a different situation each time. But this is it's been a hugely influential novel in England since it came out in 1959. I mean, so many artists cite it as an influence for some reason. I thought, well, maybe I should read it at some point and figure out. And yeah, it was made into a movie musical, the one with Bowie. Yep. And musically, it's the beginning of the end of the jam. Because you've got the horns that are added. And I'm surprised Paul Weller didn't like it, because to me, I thought it just kind of reflects his love of northern soul.
Well, that's a YouTube comment I read. I don't know if that's factual or not.
Maybe they were more punchier or more in the forefront than he desired them to be.
Maybe they were too loud or something.
but the great horns.
Yeah. Next track. Town Called Malice. Definitely one of the more upbeat songs on here, but I'm not sure about how I feel about the keyboard playing like a church organ. But I think this song is an important reminder for me anyway, because those opening lyrics remind you not to take life so seriously with all the crap it can throw at you, because you're still going to find some time for joy. I hope so, at least. I definitely think the most heartbreaking part of the song is when he talks about the lonely housewives clutching their milk bottles and they leave their love letters on the line to dry. That broke my heart a bit. But I guess for some people this brings funny memories, because there was a comment on YouTube that said, I hear this song and all I can think of is Dwight making a sandwich on The Office, which I don't know what episode that would be, but Dad, you might know?
I wish I could say I do, but I don't. I guess I'll have to search for that.
Very good song, but I tried searching for it, but I couldn't find anything. So we'll see.
This is from their final album, The Gift, and this song debuted at #1 on the UK singles chart. And Paul wrote this about his hometown Woking, sorry.
It's like, it's because it's spelled like walk. Yeah.
And how he wanted to leave. And he sings to stop dreaming of the quiet life because they'll never know it.
No.
And then, you've got the lonely housewives with the empty milk bottles and hanging up their love letters to dry, probably because they cried all over them.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But there are other things going on. The local dairy is closed, and rows of disused milk floats, which are their version of milk trucks, stand dying in the dairy yard. And he could go on for hours, but he'd sooner put some joy back in a town called Malice. So maybe there's some hope, maybe. And the title comes from Neville Shute's album, A Town Like Alice, named after Alice Springs, Australia. One of the characters in the novel wants to turn her town into a nice place like Alice Springs.
That's good for her.
And musically, it's Northern Soul, and I also definitely hear Motown influence. It just has that beat. You've got finger snaps, and you've got that organ, and it's also the one jam song I can play competently on the drums.
Next track, Precious. It would have been hilarious if this was another British band doing a Lord of the Rings song like Led Zeppelin.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But it's not. It's punk goes dance music, ska, disco, soul, whatever it is. I really liked it. This man is in love and he hopes it'll last, but the sky up above made him lose his precious love. Translation, it was fated not to be. Oh well, it's sad, but boy, do you have a good time jamming along to it.
Yep, this is from The Gift, and Paul tells a woman her precious love is something he needs so much, to the point where words fail him. He feels like he's a hungry child that has to fill up, but he doesn't want to bleed her dry or take over the rest of her life, but he needs something that's his. It's like you think, oh my God, he's obsessed, and he kind of realizes, yeah, I need to pull back just a little bit. I still need this, but it just sounds like all so desperate. Like, he's definitely mixed up about the whole thing. And I don't know, I thought musically I thought it was far from punk, but more like funk, maybe funk, maybe funk with a punk attitude.
Funk.
Because you've got scratchy rhythm guitar, you've got the horn section, and you've got that trumpet solo at the end, which is just so great. But it's also another nail in the band's coffin, and you can dance to it.
Next track, The Bitterest Pill I Ever Had to Swallow. This is a heartfelt song of betrayal. Paul is thinking about how he fell in love hard with a woman, but then she kissed someone else, and now she's marrying that someone else. And he accepts that there's no chance of her turning back his way, but it's a bitter pill for him to swallow. But what's interesting is that the lady sings along with him too, indicating maybe she was also discontented with the relationship. Just from the way he sang it to the key of the song, you could tell a lot of passion was put into this. Very well done.
This was a non-album single, and I'm sorry I did the research on this because...
Why?
Because I thought, man, this is like one of the saddest songs of all time, and then I find out Paul wrote this as a joke to prove that songs by ABC and Duran Duran, who were both big at the time, 1982, their songs were just so easy to write. And like, I read the lyrics and I thought, yeah, I can kind of see it, because there is kind of like an over-the-top quality, especially with that chorus when he sings, "The bitterest pill is mine to take. If I took it for 100 years, I couldn't feel any more ache."
Yeah,
And I thought, but So, like, basically, it's like he was with this woman, they broke up, she moved on, he didn't, and so, of course, he gets invited to her wedding, and he just wishes the grave would open up and swallow him alive. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just very, would you call it melodramatic or just overly dramatic or just,
It's giving Annabelle Lee.
oh, Poe?
Yeah, it's giving Poe.
Oh,
Wishing the
okay.
ground would
That's
swallow you up.
and the music is very dramatic. It kind of like ABC-ish, where you've got the big piano and the string section, and then you have Jenny Mathis from the Bell Stars on backing vocals.
Thank you for crediting her.
You're welcome. And but the thing is, like, on one hand, he may have meant it all as a joke, but on the other hand, he puts it all across so sincerely. But I kind of feel like, well, if you take it all sincerely, then maybe the joke's on me. I don't know, but I don't care. It's still, I love that song because I also really like ABC and Duran Duran. So there, Paul, there. You happy? Huh? You son of a bitch.
Okay, final track, Beat Surrender. It's punk that you can dance to. The opening is so beautiful and melodious, and then bam, we're off and running with backup singers and a fast beat. The other singers even sounded like David Bowie for a little bit, which was cool. The poignant lyrics you can miss are about lack of motivation to follow through on your dreams and admiring those who do. And it's also about using music to escape. Reading the lyrics on the page first. Read the lyrics on the page and then listen to the song to see what I mean. The fade out is also strategically used here because it leaves the chorus stuck in your head as the beat surrender goes on and on and on. Great way to end.
This is a non-album single, and Paul wrote this specifically to mark the end of the jam. He doesn't get too detailed about it until the end. I mean, I thought it was the lines, "You'll see me come running to the sound of your strumming. Fill my heart with joy and gladness. I've lived too long in shadows of sadness." And he just decides, I'm just going to surrender to the beat. I'm going off in this new musical direction. It's just going to be dance, horns. It's going to be my Northern Soul move. Damn it. And this song divided jam fans.
Oh, you either love it or hate it?
Yep, some loved it and others hate it. Some thought, oh, Beat Surrender, yeah, you should have saved it for the Style Council, which was Paul's next band.
Is that what Mike said?
I don't know. I'd have to ask him. But the Style Council was definitely more like the Beat Surrender type of music. Tracy Young, who sings background vocals on this, would accompany Paul to the council. And again, it's very Northern Soul. It sounds nothing at all like the song we started off with, In the City. It's just complete. He did his mod thing, punk wise, and he just decided, I'm just giving into the soul music, mod soul music.
We got the full trajectory beginning to end.
Yep.
Overall, I really loved the jam. I hadn't realized how much their songs had their hooks in me until I found myself, as I said earlier, listening to them a lot on repeat. I was just expecting myself to only like David Watts and that's it, but it's so much more than that. Of all the punk bands that we've listened to so far, which include The Clash, Dead Kennedys, and technically you could throw in Velvet Underground and Blondie if you wanted to, I think the jam is definitely my favorite so far. And we'll definitely get into more punk stuff if we do more Clash albums, and eventually when we do, the Sex Pistols and the Ramones and Iggy. So it'll be interesting to see how much my opinion changes, but as of now, they take the top for me. My favorite punk band as of now, the jam easily. But again, subject to change depending on what we cover as we go on.
Interesting. I did not think you would be that into the band.
Oh, I loved it.
And the thing is, like, there's lots of jam best ofs out there now. I mean, there's box sets, there's single compilations, there's all sorts of configurations. But Snap is definitive. It's in chronological order. You get, like I said at the beginning, you get all 18 singles. The other songs that are on here, you get like deep cuts, decent album tracks. There was some that I wish I had put on, but I tried to stick more with with the single stuff. There is not a bad track on this. If you can find the 2-disc set, highly recommend it. Even if you are only able to find compact Snap, pick that up too. Highly recommended.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. The more you interact with the video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. You're friends with Dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll send you an email. As always, thank you for listening to the latest installment. I bet my dad listens to this. We will be back next time with another tribute album to nitpick and gripe about why are all the good ones going. Anyway, Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Yep, Rick Buckler, thank you for keeping the jams beat, and rest in peace.